Positioned on pole. Age gap breeding 16. Breeding erotica, alpha male erotica, unprotected sex erotica. Written by Kimmy Welsh. Narrated by Kline. Positioned on pole. Age gap breeding 16. Breeding erotica, alpha male erotica, unprotected sex erotica. There was just something about the roar of the stadium before a big race that I found intoxicating. Hearing the revving of those powerful bike engines, backdropped by the cheers of thousands of fans going wild. It was like a drug. I posed between the bikes with my gals. That's what I called them anyway. They followed the Supercross circuit with the riders, dazzling the crowds with their looks before the start of each race. By some stroke of luck, I'd ended up right beside them. Number 14. That was Jarrod. When I first saw him, I was infatuated. He was an older guy who'd come to the sport later in his life than most, but he was smoking hot. A couple of years back, I went to see him ride, and a talent scout picked me out after the race and asked if I'd like to join the crew of grid girls that complemented the starting lineup. It was a no-brainer. The girls were all real nice, and many of them had their own favorite riders. "Good luck, handsome," I shouted to Jarrod that day, walking along the grid of growling bikes. I was sweet on him, and it was no secret. His gaze met mine through the visor of his helmet. He had a steely look in his eyes, that same one that he always had before a race. He never messed around, but despite his efforts, the best he'd ever placed was second. I knew he had it in him to win. He twisted his gloved hand on the throttle and his bike lurched to life. He gave it a few more twists for good measure, and then afforded me a slight nod and a wink. I continued along the line of riders. Their eyes would turn to me as I walked by, smiling. I was like a siren, luring them to the rocks, hoping for all hope that I would distract them just enough before the off that Jarrod might stand a better chance. They had us all clad in black leathers that were trimmed and cut in just the right places. Today I wore a tight bodice that bunched up my tits and gave them a cleavage that really flattered me. I wore a long, tight pair of black pants that smoothed down over my round ass, finishing in a pair of boots that matched the rest of the girls. Suddenly, the announcer's voice echoed over the public address. "Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?